Hi folks, it's Evo here from Thundermist Lure Company. It is great to see you and welcome to today's episode of Thundermist Fishing Tips. What a start I've got here today. Oh boy, that is a beauty. I'm out here on Lake Erie. It's the month of November and we're looking for those big chunky Lake Erie smallmouth bass. Oh, and I think I got myself a beauty here today. We just started drifting. We got a nice little chop. The winds are supposed to change, but right now we got a nice little chop. And he hit in 38 feet of water. And the water temperature is 44 degrees. Oh, and the cameraman is going to lose his rod. Better get that. Might have to get his line out of the water, but see if we can get this fish in. We got ourselves a real nice smallie here today, folks. I'm running the Stingnose Jigging Spoon. And I'm working that spoon off the bottom. I'll show you the technique I'm using today. Oh yeah, that's a nice chunky bass. Look at that for a start. That is a chunk. Yes. Oh yes. That's a beauty. Oh boy. Okay, you talk about a good start to the day right there. All right, Mr. Smalley. Oh, I should grab a photo of this guy. Okay, we're gonna grab a quick photo and get him right back in the water. All right, nice little photo op for Facebook and Instagram. First fish of the day. Beautiful. Okay, look at that smallie. He's, I'm gonna say maybe 3 pounds. That's a nice chunky, see how thick they are? They're feeding up for the fall. Okay, right back in he goes. All right, so now we've actually drifted into 30 feet of water. So I'm going to go back up. There's a bit of a break here, but the technique I'm using, and I'm running the peanut bunker today, but I also brought some Stingnose minnows. It's nice to have a good choice now between minnows and bunkers and the bigger smelt as well. But the technique is very simple. Because I've got a little chop, I'm letting the boat, as we're drifting along, I'm just fishing straight vertically. So I'm just dropping it down, getting it to the bottom. As soon as I feel bottom, right there, I lift it up about 6 inches and then just jig it up and let it flutter right back down again. Let it sit to the bottom, pause for a second or two, jig it back up and let it flutter back down again. That's going to be the technique. Now if this drift slows and starts to die, then I'll cast it and I'll bounce it back and I'll cover more ground. But right now I'm covering enough ground with this little bit of drift. And see, I got to readjust my drag. There we go. You want the drag a little bit tight for the hook set. All right, so it looks like, that might have been bottom because we just come up now to 27 feet. So that's the other thing. Yeah, there's bottom right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'll adjust, but I think what I'll do is I'll go back up and do another drift over that break. There might be some more fish holding on there. So let's do that. Let's go back up and do another drift. Oh, that's another nice chunk, another drift, and another nice fish. Unbelievable. 44 feet of water. Boy, oh boy, do I love this fall fishing for bass. Oh yeah, that's a nice chunk. See, when they struggle to jump out of the water, it's because they're so big and heavy. So these fish are really feeding up here in the fall because they know what's coming. Oh yeah, that's another nice bass. Easy, another 3 pounder, easy. Nice fish. Okay, now I went with the gold today because of the cloud cover, but I also brought silver. But I like to use gold. Those of you who watch know that I like to use gold. Oh, that's a nice chunk. He's over 3, he's thick. Wow, that's one big thick bass right there. Oh boy. All right, let's just get the needle nose and we're gonna get this guy right back in again. One chunky smallie right there. All right, we're gonna get him right back in again. All right, oh, and away he goes. Wow, like a bullet. Sometimes when you help them like that, it helps give them a good head start. Okay, so again, I'm just using the gold today, which seems to be working. And that's the thing, in the fall, these smallies are feeding on bait fish. In fact, the crayfish population has seemed to somewhat dwindled somewhat, but in the fall, regardless, these smallies are feeding on bait fish. And that's what these jigging spoons imitate, is a bait fish. And what I like about the Stingnose, the hook is right at the head, as you know, for perfect hook sets, because that's typically where they hit. Okay, there's bottom, off the bottom, and I'm in 42 feet of water. We'll see if we can get ourselves into another nice bass. Okay, another drift, another fish, 44 feet of water. What a solid bite. Oh, it's another, oh boy, that's another chunk. These fish are so thick. They're thick. They're feeding like crazy here in the fall. You know, bass fishing is not only for the summer. In fact, some of the best fishing you'll find is in the spring and the fall. Look at that. Oh, look at that chunk. Wow. That is one chunky fish. Wow, that's heavy. Oh yeah, this fish. Okay, I'll grab a quick photo of that one. He's 4.5 pounds for sure. That's a big chunky fish. Quick photo and we're gonna get him released. What a chunk. Oh yeah, he's easy 4.5 pounds. Easy. That's one solid fish. Nice little hook set. Oops. Okay. That is a chunky smallie right there. Wow. Nice thick heavy fish. Okay. Give him a little boost and away he goes. All right. Oh boy, this is amazing fishing. I am absolutely loving it out here. Got to get my line back down there again. Now, speaking of lines, don't be afraid, folks, to use bigger baits in the fall. These fish are feeding up, and as long as you don't have like a cold front condition where you got to finesse them, don't be afraid to use bigger, heavier baits, because they are aggressive, they're looking for food, and they're going to attack. And as you're drifting, if you can't see, if you don't have a graph or a fish finder close by, you can't see the depth, or if the depths are changing, what you need to do is every so often just open your bail up, let your jig fall to the bottom, and lift it up again. You always want to make sure that your jigging spoon is close to the bottom. So you want to just jig it like that, close to the bottom. And all you need is a short, just jig it up, let it flutter down, and always pause for a second or two before you lift it back up again. A lot of times those fish will hit it on the pause. Okay, we're in 43 feet of water. That fish came out of 44. See if we can hook ourselves into another one of those beautiful Lake Erie chunky bass. This is phenomenal. Okay, 42 feet of water. This one, what happened? You know how I mentioned you should open the bail up to check to make sure you're close to bottom all the time? I like to do that. I even like to do that because what happens is your jigging spoon falls and bangs on the bottom. And then when you lift it up again, if there's a smallie in the area, that really gets their attention. Now this one doesn't feel as big. So what happened there, when I jigged it up, my line just suddenly stopped. It never straightened out, so he hit it right away. You can see it's a little bit of a smaller fish. I'll just lift him in. Okay, look at that. Smaller bass was not afraid to hit that bigger bait, not at all. That's what I mean. They're really aggressive, these smallies. And look at that, it's just a little bass. Okay, back in he goes. 42 feet of water. Gonna get that right back down there again. Yeah, I like that, just banging that jigging spoon off the bottom every so often. It really also helps trigger bites. And the rod I'm using, it's just it's a 6-foot medium action rod. And I wouldn't go any shorter than 6 foot for this kind of jigging. In fact, I actually prefer a 6.5 foot for this kind of jigging, even 7 foot. But definitely not any smaller than 6 foot. So yeah, I'm just gonna open the bail, let it bang on the bottom, and lift it up and let it flutter back down. What a technique, I love it. Oh, this is unbelievable. It's another chunk. That's another chunky fish. Oh boy, beautiful fish. Now I am using braided line with a fluorocarbon leader, of course. And when you're running braid on the hook sets, folks, you don't need to really set the hook hard because there's no stretch. You just give a nice little tug and you're gonna set the hook nicely on that fish. Okay, how deep? He came out of 40 feet, so I'm just a little bit shallower. Oh, and he's got a mark on the side of him. Looks like Mr. Muskie or something was after him. Gee, okay. Oh yeah, there we go. That's about 2.5 pounder, I'm gonna say. Okay, oh boy, what a day. Okay, now that's the good side. Now I'm gonna show you. Looks like he's been hit. Something tried to attack him on the backside. But the good news for Mr. Smalley today, we're gonna release him. All right, and away he goes. All right, now that's the other thing, these rubber nets I really like, because as a general rule, you can get your lures out relatively quickly and easily. Oh boy, okay, I'm gonna stick with this gold. If the sun decides to come out today, I'll switch over to silver, but right now, the gold is reflecting just beautifully. Back down in 40 feet of water, down to the bottom I go, adjust the drag, and I'm gonna keep drifting. But what a phenomenal day I'm having out here, folks. The month of November, the smallies start to school up and they wanna feed badly, and they really, really love bait fish. So if you get an opportunity, bass fishing, not just for summer only. Oh, I was gonna say, it's not just for summer only. It's also for the fall. I was just ready to sign off there. But let's land this fish first and then we'll sign off. Oh, it's another nice fish. Oh, look at that. Holy. That's another nice fish. But you see what I mean about the technique. Oh, that's another chunky fish. He's easily 3.5 pounds. Because they're so thick. They're just so thick, these fish. Look at that. Isn't that something? Beautiful, healthy smallmouth bass right there. I'll tell you. And the peanut bunker I'm using is still actually the one of the prototype models that we got in. But isn't that a nice smallie right there? Oh my. Okay, back in he goes. All right. Like I said, folks, I'm just having myself a phenomenal day out here. Oh, back down I go. I'm gonna adjust the drag. If you get an opportunity, don't put the rods away in the fall. In fact, keep them handy and get yourself out there. Have yourself a good day. I'm having just a phenomenal day out here today, folks. The weather's great for a month of November. The winds are perfect. It's just above freezing, and I'm gonna stay out here all day long, and why not enjoy it before the ice comes. Folks, I want to thank you ever so much for tuning in to today's episode of Thundermist Fishing Tips. And as always, until next time, good luck and good fishing. Jigging pods. Jigging pods.